All right, so we're diving into some seriously wild stuff today.
Yeah.
Russian influence campaigns, January 6th, the drill
Yeah.
and this group
Yeah.
called the Tenet Six,
Right.
right-wing media people, and get this, linked to Russia funding.
And what's really fascinating here, the thing that really gets me is how this isn't just about like one election, like Russia just wants to mess with our elections.
Right.
This is about like breaking the system from the inside out. Like imagine like your town, right?
Right.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everyone's at each other's throats because of some crazy conspiracy theory online.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Creating that chaos, that's what Russia wants, to weaken us from within.
So you're saying they're like planting these seeds of distrust, letting them grow into full-blown societal rifts.
And they have this playbook, right?
Okay.
Operation Doppleganger. Turning us against each other.
Dividing and conquering, essentially.
Exactly.
And these Tenet Six, they're the gardeners in this scenario.
Precisely. But here's the thing.
Okay.
This article you shared makes it seem like these guys, these Tenet Six, they might be what you'd call useful idiots.
Useful idiots.
Yeah, like people who are being used to push Russia's agenda without even realizing it.
Okay, so that's the million-dollar question then, right? Were these guys in on it? Did they know they were pushing Russian propaganda? Or were they like pawns in a much bigger game?
Exactly. And to figure that out, we have to understand who these people are. So we've got like Tim Pool, he was at VCE. Benny Johnson, he was at BuzzFeed.
Oh, wow. So these aren't just like random people.
Yeah.
These are people with like legitimate media backgrounds
Yeah,
who then went hard. Right.
Exactly.
So it's almost like they're leveraging that previous credibility to give weight to what they're saying now.
Because a message coming from someone you don't expect is way more effective, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like that whole trust me, I'm a doctor thing.
Exactly.
But for spreading, well, BS, essentially.
Exactly.
Except the prescription here is a heavy dose of chaos and division.
Right. And the thing is,
Okay.
most of these Tenet Six guys, they don't exactly scream radical revolutionary.
Yeah. No, you're right. Except for one.
Ah, yes. Tayler Hansen.
Yeah, him. He's a whole other story.
Right. This is where our deep dive takes a turn.
Because he wasn't just pushing ideas, was he? He was directly involved on January 6th.
And not just as some bystander.
Oh, no. Not at all.
This was not a journalist covering a protest.
He was in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Front and center at the Capitol riot.
Anyone who's seen 4 Hours at the Capitol.
Oh, that HBO documentary.
Yeah.
So good.
It's intense.
It's gripping, yeah.
You see him there in the thick of it.
And he's not just there to observe. It's like he's part of it.
Exactly. He's engaging with these people, the insurrectionists.
Right.
Even seems like he's endorsing the violence.
It's uncomfortable to watch, which makes you wonder, why would Russia want anything to do with someone who is so deeply involved in January 6th?
Especially when the others, even those who might have supported it, they kept their distance.
It's bizarre. What could they possibly gain from someone like Hansen? A guy who, let's be honest, seems to love stirring the pot.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder.
Like, what makes him so valuable to them?
Right?
It's a head scratcher.
It is. Especially when you bring in something that happened the day before the attack.
Oh.
The article calls it the Insurrection Eve fire at the Willard Hotel.
Okay, so a fire at a hotel, even one in D.C.
Right.
It doesn't sound that crazy compared to what happened on January 6th.
True, but context.
Yeah.
It's everything. Because this wasn't just any fire. It involved some big names who'd later be right in the thick of it on January 6th.
Oh, like who?
Owen Schroyer from InfoWars.
Okay.
Baked Alaska.
Right. The Proud Boy who live-streamed himself inside the Capitol.
The one and only.
And, of course, Tayler Hansen.
Yep, all there.
So we've got a whole party of far-right figures connected to this fire.
It's not a coincidence.
Sounds like things are about to get interesting.
Oh, yeah. Buckle up.
Yeah.
Because this fire, this wasn't random vandalism.
What are you saying?
The article suggests it might have been done on purpose.
Wait, on purpose to what?
To make things in D.C. even more tense. To push things closer to the edge.
Wow. Okay, that is a bold claim.
It is, and we're going to break it all down.
This is what I love about a good deep dive.
Right.
You uncover these seemingly small details.
Totally.
And suddenly, boom, the whole case blows wide open.
Exactly. And the Willard fire, it's a perfect example.
Okay.
Because you have these major players who were then central to January 6th,
Yeah.
and it all feeds into the chaos that was already brewing in D.C., especially on January 5th.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I gotta be honest. Until I read this article,
Yeah.
I had no idea so much went down on January 5th. It's like it gets totally overshadowed by the 6th.
Totally understandable. But January 5th, that's key to understanding everything that led up to the Capitol attack.
Okay, so walk me through this.
All right,
So this Willard fire,
yeah.
how does it connect to January 5th?
So the Willard thing,
Yeah.
it wasn't just some random thing.
Yeah.
It all ties into what went down that day, January 5th.
Yeah.
Like this March.
Okay.
That turned into a full-blown riot at Black Lives Matter Plaza. All right?
Oh, right.
Russia loves this stuff. Chaos, division.
Yeah, it's like fuel for their propaganda machine, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Images of Americans fighting each other.
It plays right into their whole thing about democracy being broken.
Exactly. They want the world to think America's falling apart.
Which is why they'd want to make it happen themselves.
Bingo. And get this, the article even suggests that this fire at the Willard might have been deliberate.
Wait, are you saying someone set that fire?
It's possible.
But why? To what end?
Think about it. More chaos, more confrontation.
Okay, so they create a situation where the police have to come down hard.
Exactly.
And then what? That gives Trump an excuse to flex his muscles, declare martial law, that whole thing.
It's not as crazy as it sounds. Remember, back then, people were talking about that Trump declaring martial law
Right.
to supposedly restore order.
Which, let's be real, that's terrifying.
No kidding. It sends chills down my spine just thinking about it.
The potential consequences, like, wow.
Exactly. And it makes you look at January 5th and 6th in a whole new light.
Because if that was the goal, to create enough chaos to justify a power grab,
Then suddenly Russia has a huge interest in fanning those flames.
and someone like Tayler Hansen, who seems to, I don't know, gravitate towards chaos, he becomes a valuable asset.
Exactly. And here's where Hansen gets even weirder.
Okay.
You got Schroyer, right?
Yeah.
Content to watch the Willard fire from a distance.
Like he wanted to be as far away from the action as possible.
Almost like he knew things were about to go south and wanted an alibi.
Dude, that is shady.
Right. Super suspicious.
But Hansen's different.
Totally different. He goes from the Willard straight to that march on January 5th.
Which, reminder,
Yeah.
turned violent.
Exactly. And then, boom, front and center at the Capitol on the 6th. It's like he can't get enough of this chaos.
Like he thrives on it.
Right. Which brings us to his online presence.
Oh, yeah, his social media.
The guy's a walk-in red flag.
The article didn't hold back.
No, they didn't. They talk about how he engages with, like, the most messed up stuff online, violent threats, calls for insurrection.
And he's just cool with it.
Doesn't even bat an eye. This isn't just a journalist observing something. This is different.
Which brings us back to that big question.
Yeah.
What is Russia thinking?
Seriously.
Why put your money on a guy like Hansen?
Right.
He's extreme, even for, like, the pro-Trump media sphere.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
like they're not just looking for people to parrot their talking points.
What then?
What if they want people who will actually escalate things?
You're talking about more than just useful idiots.
Way more.
These are people who are, like, actively trying to make things worse. People who are maybe even willing to incite violence.
It's scary to think about, but that's the implication.
Yeah.
And this one part of the article,
Yeah.
it's chilling. Remember when Hansen is interviewing that rioter at the
Uh-huh.
Capitol? The guy talking about executing politicians?
Oh my God, yes. That was disturbing.
And what does Hansen do?
I don't...
He nods along, like he agrees.
Oh, wow.
Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it,
No, I see what you mean.
but it's hard to ignore.
Right. Yeah. That's not just a journalist doing his job. That's something else entirely.
Exactly. So was he a useful idiot?
Or was this all part of the plan?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's a chilling thought, either way.
Seriously. And it's bigger than just Hansen. This Operation Doppleganger thing, it wasn't just about, like, finding a few big names to push their agenda.
You're saying it's more like a network.
Exactly.
A whole bunch of influencers all spreading the same message
To their own audiences.
and amplifying that message, making it seem like everyone's saying it.
Exactly. Creating this echo chamber of disinformation.
And sure, most of them are probably just in it for the clicks, the followers.
Right.
But then you have guys like Hansen who are drawn to something, I don't know.
Darker.
Yeah, darker. They see an opportunity in all the chaos.
It's a scary thought because you start to wonder, like, how many Hansens are out there?
Exactly. It's easy to write him off as this lone wolf, this one crazy guy.
Right. An outlier.
But what if he's not? What if he's just the tip of the iceberg?
It's like we're all playing this high-stakes game of spot the bot online.
Right, except the stakes are way higher than just a few fake accounts.
We're talking about real-world consequences.
We saw it on January 6th.
Exactly. And it's not just Russia.
What do you mean?
This kind of stuff, this information warfare,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. Election meddling, conspiracy theories, it's all connected.
So what are we supposed to do? It feels like we're up against this invisible enemy.
Honestly, the first step is just being aware that it's happening.
Okay, so awareness, check. What else?
You be critical
Oh.
of everything. The information you see online, the sources you trust.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet, basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
Especially with the election coming up. Who knows what they'll try next?
It's a lot to think about. So I guess that brings us back to the Tenet Six.
Oh, sick.
Were they useful idiots or were they in on it?
We might never know, for sure.
Which is kind of a scary thought in itself.
But maybe that's not even the right question.
What do you mean?
The question we should all be asking is,
Yeah.
could we be manipulated?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. But it's important. We have to be willing to question everything. The information we